Peace, and Black African Power. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV with Kofi Piesie Research Team, and we got two brothers on the panel. We'll let everybody introduce themselves in just a minute. But first, I want to say ETM Hotep. I want to say Dua Aku, Dua Netcha, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riri, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Lakba, Majuba Iba E Lakba, E Gungun, Kiki E Gungun. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors, because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also want to stand honor and praises to the true and living elders out there. I mean, true and living elders according to an African tradition and from an African worldview. Shawn kind of stumped me. That boy, he ain't never got nothing positive to say. But peace to Brother Shawn, peace to Jeremy in the chat, peace to those that are also looking but hasn't commented in the chat yet. Brother Sutek, if you don't mind, man, you'll share the show. And those that are, everybody's piling in now, but those that piling in, please share the show. But I'll mute my mic real quick, man, and let everybody else speak, man, before we get into the show. This is going to be I say a powerful discussion that should be had. So, but before that, let's let everybody introduce themselves.
All right, since ain't nobody else going, I'll go first. Shea Lafayette, peace to the chat, man. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure as you come in, please like the show. Please share the show. Help us get the show around to some others that might be interested in the same topic that we're about to go in on. And those that might be interested in the overall product of the channel. So please make sure you like the show and share the show. But yeah, peace, family. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Appreciate my brothers on the panel for coming through. And I'm gonna let somebody else grab the mic so we can get on into it. Peace, y'all.
Peace to the panel. Peace to the chat. This is Brother Robert Rand. I'm here to enjoy the conversation and add my little input into it. I think it's a topic that is well needed to be discussed. The relationships between Africans and African Americans. So let's get it started, bro.
What's going on is Brother Chavis. Just here to participate in this interesting dialogue that I agree with Robert that need to be had. And peace to the chat. And peace to the brothers on the panel.
All right. Y'all give me just a second, man. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then we're going to jump into
Peace to
I'm sorry, Sabio.
peace to everyone on the show. Peace to everyone on the show. This brother Sabio. You fine. This brother Sabio. Just want to thank everyone, especially Kofi, for having this discussion and invited me to this discussion. You know, hope it's a positive and a great discussion, and we actually learn and we can move this discussion and our people forward. So, you know, let's get it.
All right. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and we gonna get into this discussion. And anybody that's out there in the chat, man, peace to Anisha, peace to Anisha, peace to Chauncey Moore, Marcel, Armin Hotep, India Bala, peace to my good brother Omega Sunlight. Peace again to Brother Shawn, Jeremiah Chapman, and everybody else that's just listening in is not coming in the chat. Let me share my screen real quick. Dang it, man. Y'all give me 1 second. This thing here is all right. There we go. Show me PowerPoint. Let me know on my screen sharing, y'all. Is my screen sharing?
Yeah.
All right. Again, yeah. Welcome back. Like I said, the discussion is African American versus Africans. Copyright disclaimer. We got to put a copyright disclaimer out here because we're gonna be playing some videos, so we don't want to get the channel flagged or strike. So the copyright disclaimer is under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism, comments, news, reports, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringed. It's also in the description. Shawn, I took your thing from taking it and putting it in the description as well, because it seemed like they still was trying to strike the channel or something, man, even when we read out the copyright disclaimer. But the copyright disclaimer is also in the description. Also over here, over here at Kofi Piesie TV with Kofi Piesie Research Team, we strive and we live by this phrase here: as I learn, we all learn. Also be looking out pretty soon. We have a podcast, As I Learn, We All Learn podcast, which we'll be sharing some information with that pretty soon. You'll be seeing a commercial coming out pretty soon. We just trying to find the best situation for the podcast. We must not let our ancestors down. That's another motto, another phrase that we follow over here. So we hope that our ancestors are smiling on us. We're definitely trying to please our ancestors. We're definitely trying to continue their legacy, continue to build on their good works. Also, today's show is about a beef. Today's show is about a beef or a perception that African Americans and Africans has toward each other. We will look at a few videos and have a discussion of what we see and hear. We are going to see where these stereotypes come from. We also will discuss what are some of the solutions. So see, these are some of the bullet points. Just letting y'all know. The program Akata, just two terms that you probably going to hear a lot in these two different videos that we're going to play. Akata, which means jackal or wildcat in Yoruba. It is used as a derogatory term by Nigerians, Yoruba immigrants insulting African Americans. So this is a derogatory term that some of our brothers on the continent use as other terms that they use as describing us as the white man or the pale face. Also, before I talk about the African booty scratcher, I can get a definition of African booty scratcher. African booty scratcher, I don't know how many people on the panel or people that's watching heard this term, but I know as a young boy, I heard this term a lot. Not per se someone called me this, but I have heard a lot of kids call people that was darker than me, you ain't nothing but an African booty scratcher. So a common name, a child and soul of fresh off the boat African immigrants from the continent. You also gonna hear this word African booty scratcher in both of these videos that we're gonna play. And then I want to play something real quick also with the word African booty scratcher. And then we'll jump into the videos and we'll jump into the discussion. Let me see if let me pull it up real quick. Y'all give me just 1 second, because I got it on one computer. I thought I had it loaded up on this computer here. But while I'm loading it up, anybody ever seen Boys in the Hood? Boys in the Hood to me was a classic hood movie. I grew up liking Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, a lot of good hood videos. But it was a video that stood out. I mean, it was a clip in the video that stood out that I'm going to play. And this is, and this is, even though this was on the Boys in the Hood movie, I can see this being played out.
You said I ain't from Africa, I'm from Crenshaw Mafia.
Yeah. You remember that, yeah. And I mean, and you
African have booty scratching.
Yeah, right. And you have adults that actually says the same, same thing. I ain't from Africa. I ain't even use this term, but I know growing up as a young boy, like I said, I heard it a lot by other kids that was, that was my age. So this clip still stood out. So I'm gonna play this clip and then we're gonna get into the discussion. But just check this out. I mean, and it's still being played out to today. Hold on, I keep forgetting I got my headphones in. Y'all let me know with the video. Y'all can hear the video.
So that's how the settlers survived that long, hard winter that
Yeah,
took so many
weird.
lives, was by eating all those special foods that were given to them, like the turkey and the squash and all the foods that we think of as our traditional holiday meal. And that's why we celebrate Thanksgiving, in order to commemorate the unity between the Indians, the Native Americans, and the early English settlers, who were called, class? Pilgrims. That's right, the Pilgrims. Very good. The Penguins. Who said that? Mr. Styles. That's me. How is it you always have something funny to say? Because I'm a comedian. Would you like to come up and teach the class? Yeah, I can do that. Very well, come on up. Instruct us. And what will be the basis of your lecture? What? What are you going to talk about? Tell you if you let me talk, shoot. Okay. All right, does anybody know what the name of this place is? That's Africa. I know that. That's right, that's Africa. But did you know that Africa is the place where the body of the first man was found? My daddy says that makes it the place where all people originated from. That means everybody's really from Africa. Everybody. All y'all. Everybody. I'm from Africa. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia. Like it or not, you from Africa. I'm from Africa. You from Africa. You African booty scratcher. I'll kick your ass. Okay, boys, that's enough. Count to 10 and be quiet.
I ain't gonna play the rest of the video, but that was, I mean, like I said, you know, this was, you hear this African booty scratcher from, you know, from children. Like I said, I don't know, I hadn't heard too many grown people use the term, but they say grown people also, you know, use the term. But like I said, me growing up, I always heard that African booty scratcher term. So again, Akata is a derogatory term that some of our brothers and sisters on the continent would use this derogatory term to describe us, and we would describe them as African booty scratchers, or we would describe our own self as African booty scratchers if we even talk to try to associate ourselves as Africans. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick, and then I'll go back to sharing my screen real quick. Brother Sutek, what do I would like to start, but we can start wherever you want to start at. We got two videos. One of the videos I got pulled up, I got a documentary that I should have put in the description, that I think everybody should look at. And it's another video that we're gonna play also, but during the videos, we're gonna give commentary of the stuff that we listen to. This is some powerful stuff. And then we're going to find out how the African American has where these stereotypes between the African American and the African come from. You know, it comes from the same common enemy. I would say the same common enemy. And I always hear, I'm not gonna speak on the brother's name. I was just talking about the brother, but it's a Moorish brother, and he's always. It seems like every time I hear this guy, this guy talk. With the last two videos I watched, I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos from other people, just a particular few people, and but anyway, he was on one of the you know, I say one of the surrounding family members, and both shows he was on, all he could talk about was the African doesn't like the African American. All he hear is in whatever this thing that they got going on now where you on the phone. What's that thing where you on the phone? They on the phone now. They be having the meetings on the phone with Clubhouse. All I hear the brother is always and he repeats it over and over and over again to the Africans. The Africans don't even like y'all. You know what I'm saying? The Africans talk about the Africans this and that. When we do the same thing, the African American talks about the African American. You know what I'm saying? The African American fights their own African American, but he always is talking like he's trying to, and it, you know, it to me, it feels like he has an agenda to push, and he's trying to push that we should not even study. And I understand why he's trying to do what he did. To me, why I say he has an agenda, because we're talking about these reparation things, and we're talking about, you know, what is the thing with the brother and the sister? I don't even hear too much from them. One of these the brother and the sister that started the thing for us, like the reparations here in America. In America, we need to get reparations for the African American. We're not worried about the African in the Caribbean, the African in South America, or the African on the continent. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Where you want to start at? You want to start? I would like to start with the documentary. Kind of start off with the documentary, play the documentary. We can stop it and then go into the other brother video, have commentary on his video. Then we can kind of jump back and forth, because both of the videos, the documentary and the brother 9-minute video, they go hand in hand.
Yeah. If you think the documentary will fit first, then play it.
Yo, before y'all go, I just wanted to see if I could play this little clip. There's a little clip that goes into what you was just saying. It's from the movie. Hold on, let me share my screen real quick.
Go ahead.
Hold on, man. Save it to after one,
because it goes into kind of what you just was,
save it to Kofi.
Kind of what you was just playing.
Now he let him go ahead and play it.
We'll play it with
the documentary. I'm gonna send Ben the link. Ben want to jump on also.
You up, Sabio?
Me, I like a different kind of face. What kind? Kind of face you got, Bill?
I think so.
That Mandinka face.
Mandinka?
It look like I hear it, but it look like it's still low.
That you talking about? That's African. I know African.
We're proud people.
I'm American.
Y'all can't hear it?
I was born here. My mammy and my daddy was born here, and my daddy's daddy.
Can y'all hear it now?
Yeah, we can hear the video. We can hear it and see it.
What kind?
Face you got, Bill. That Mandinka face.
Mandinka? What food stuff's that you talking about? That's African. I know African.
I'm Mandinka. We're proud people.
And I'm American. I was born here. My mammy and my daddy was born here, and my daddy's daddy. I know African. Bad time all around. Janelle for running off like that makes more sense than a mealyworm. Luther too, old fool. Make Master mighty angry. Got no driver. Just a bad day. On top of all that, you call me an African.
I won't do it again, Belle. Never.
Toby?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that, man. We used to, and that's crazy. We used to watch that video. We used to watch Roots in school. This was the only education that they would give us when we was in school. We would watch this every year, and then and black minorities in high school, we would watch it a couple times. Yep. So even with what she just said, I have encountered grown people have said the same thing. And they say it with disdain too, man. Like I have
Me too. That's why I played it.
Yeah, like I have cussed them slap out. But yeah, man, let's get into it, because we want to see, where is all of this coming from? Why the African American has such a disdain and a terrible outlook on our brothers and sisters in Africa, even why they have a terrible look in the continent, in the continent that we call in Africa. And, why the African that comes over here don't associate with the African American over here. Because when we played the video, when this documentary, I scratched my head on something that I heard. One of the brothers who's been over here 25 years has never been to an African American gathering, has never been to an African, had never been to an African American house, and he's been over here 25 years. And even the actor talked about him being in class, and an African American does not even associate with each other, does not even look at each other, does not even speak with each other, and they are the same. Well, let's play the video. Like I said, we're gonna do commentary on both the documentary and the small other video that we're gonna play with the brother. Both of these are powerful, so let's get into it. And anybody that wants to stop the video, just tell me to stop it, and and we can talk about it. We can talk about different points. Let me go back to share my screen. Share my screen. Right. Peace again to everybody in the chat, man. I see everybody piling up in there, man. Peace to everybody in the chat. Let me go right here. Okay, I'm already up here. Give me just a second, y'all. Let me go back and I'm gonna pull the documentary up real quick. And then I advise everybody, man, it's a nice documentary that finna play, and it's been out since 2014. I knew nothing about it until actually the other day, the documentary. But it's called Bound Bound Africans versus African Americans. We're gonna start from the beginning right here. And like I said, if anybody got a question or want to elaborate on certain parts, just tell me and I'll stop the video and we can kind of talk about it and we can kind of discuss it. Anybody that's in the chat that's wanting to come on, just let us know you want to come on the panel and be a part of the discussion as well. And we'll put the link off in the chat. But let me play the video.
The brothers disappeared. And no matter how hard the villagers searched, he could not be found. His mother spent her days at the water's edge, waiting. And before she went off to walk among the ancestors, she charged the remaining brother with one task. Chung, Herit, Mondirom Kodeko Duogo, Ketangeno Broduogo era. And as the years passed, the brother married, had a family, but he would always look out to the horizon, waiting for his brother to return. And when it was his time to walk among the ancestors, he charged his son with the same task. Look, wait, and welcome him when he comes home, for I know he will return to me. And so it went on for generations. And then one day, in a distant land of cold winters, the daughter of one brother walked towards the daughter of the other. With every step, they drew closer, until finally they walked past each other, like masked strangers, one never noticing the other.
I'm gonna start right there real quick and we'll go on. I don't know if anybody paying attention to what she's saying about the two lost brothers, one from Africa, one from Africa, one from America. They both got separated. She's kind of talking about slavery, so she's going to be using this narrative of how we separated and how we don't acknowledge one another. So she's talking about how we can walk past one another and don't even acknowledge the African American African. But not only that, we does the same thing, and with the African American not acknowledging the African. I talked about this a while back here. I did a whole presentation on greetings. You know what I'm saying? And how greeting is connected to good character, and it's not good, and how Africans talk about existence and how, you know, one must acknowledge someone else's existence. So you see this all throughout African culture, acknowledging someone's existence. So we walk past each other on a daily and we don't even acknowledge each other's existence. So I try to make it my business, even if the other person doesn't acknowledge my existence. I always, a person that looks like me, I always speak to that person. I may not know that person through passing, whether it's me walking somewhere or whether me in a convenience store or me at work or me on vacation. Still, if I don't know that person look like me, I always acknowledge that person's existence. And that goes back to character. That goes back to good character. I just want to throw that out there.
Africans that sit in class next to an African American and not say one word. Not one word for the whole class. I've seen it. And it's the most odd thing I've ever seen in my life. It may be two people of color in that class, one African and one African American, and they will not look at each other. For fear of what?
I came to this country when I was 10 years old from Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. And I was dropped in Harlem in the early 90s. This is the peak of thug life. Next thing I know, I'm being bullied for being African. And I don't know where they got African booty scratcher from.
I remember having a conversation with an African man who asked me, why do African American women wear head wraps when we're not African? I had an African American friend who called me spear chucker.
And I'm gonna stop right there too. And I'm gonna be stopping the video briefly, like I say, but y'all can stop the video. So you can see right here the documentary, and this is why I say it's so good. You're gonna get two perspectives. You're not just gonna get a perspective from a continental African. You also gonna get a perspective from a diaspora African, one who's in the United States or in the States. So you're gonna get two different perspectives. So you're gonna hear them. You're hearing those people who came to America was called out of their name or looked at in a certain light, and you're going to see those who encountered the African here in the United States, and even those who went back to Africa who was called the white man or called pale face or called Akatas. So you're going to see two same perspectives. So it's just not the Africans disrespecting the African Americans. The African Americans are also disrespecting the African. And again, it is coming from one place. It is coming from one place, I'll say, or one particular system.
Africans in Sierra Leone were calling me Pomoy. You know what Pomoy means in their language? White man.
You can actually see African Americans also when they are in Africa, on the African soil, behaving to Africans in a way that they feel themselves separate, and they're accepting the stereotypes of white people, the way they look at Africans.
This is word of some West African reference.
Like right there in Amos Wilson's book called, let me show. This right here. I'm trying to put it on there. He just pretty much it's a word that describes, you know what I'm saying, what he just said. It's called introjection. And in his book,
get a name. I see the book. Give people the name of the book for people that might.
The name of the book is Black on Black Violence: The Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination by Amos Wilson. And on page 51, there's a part called Internalized White Racism by African Americans. And basically, there's I'm gonna start where it says the Eurocentric projective self-fulfilling prophecy can only be actualized with the unwitting collusive participation of its intended victim, the African American population. The introjection of Eurocentrically falsified African images into the collective African American personality can only occur when African Americans themselves accept those falsified images as fact. So keep that in mind after what he just said. and what we are watching.
Read, bro, if you don't mind, bro, Chavis, man, read that one more time, man. That was powerful, man. Just for people that may have missing.
I'm gonna start from the beginning. It says, like I say, this part is on page 51 of this book. It's called that part called the internalization of white racism by African Americans. The Eurocentric, projective, self-fulfilling prophecy can only be actualized with the unwitting, collusive participation of its intended victim, the African American population. The introjection of Eurocentrically falsified African images into the collective African American personality can only occur when African Americans themselves accept those falsified images as fact.
That's right. And Omega Peace again, my good brother Omega Sunlight. He says, now that is a great premise to start from. This was done through propaganda and conditioning. That's right. And it was, like he said, it was done through propaganda and conditioning. Going back, and that's what we're saying, you know, where did these negative stereotypes of us looking at each other come from? It comes from propaganda and it comes from conditioning. Going back, going back to, and and when we get to the other video, the brother actually as he talks, he shows at the end, he shows some slides and he shows images that they seen in Africa and the images that they show over here. So he's showing you images that has been pushed through the media. But I'm not going to blame just the media, because it also started with slavery. It started with slavery. And I'm not going to even just say it started with the Atlantic slave trade. It's also started with those Arabs too, because those Arabs, you know what I'm saying? We give those Arabs a pass, and we always talk about the Atlantic slave trade, but we never talk about the Barbary Coast slave trade or the Sahara Coast slave trade. So, and even as me growing up as a youngin, as a little one, I was this. You don't see it as much, but I used to see on a daily. I promise, on a daily, I used to see images of Africa, where Africa, these skinny pot belly kids, flies flying around them, they're starving of starvation, or just negative images of Africa is poor. This is a place that you don't want to go. They need help. This is where diseases come from out of Africa. I know they used to talk about, I for a long time, I learned that, or they taught me that AIDS come from out of Africa. Africans was having sex with gorillas or monkeys. So this is where the disease transpires. So they had me thinking that. Also, they had me thinking that Africans was running around Africa with bones in their nose, eating, was cannibals, eating each other. And this was on the cartoons. Every Saturday morning, I would get up and watch cartoons. Every morning, me and my brother, every morning we get up at 7 o'clock and we will watch cartoons all the way to 1. Cartoons run from 7 to 1 o'clock. So we would get up early so we wouldn't miss the cartoons. And some of the cartoons that we would watch, which would be different cartoons, if they had a a cartoon of a person in Africa, it was always a cartoon with big old lips, big old red lips, a big old nose. I'm talking about blue, black, bone in his nose, running around chasing people to eat, or they done caught somebody and they boiling the person into the pot. It was always negative stereotypes through the cartoons and also through media. So they was teaching us through, and I learned these things from media, the cartoons that I was watching, and also when I was going to school, where they was only showing us certain things. And then when we was taking these different classes where they tried to implement down here in the South, they try to implement these classes to learn where we supposed to be learning about ourselves, but they was learning us, teaching us that we was inferior. And these Greeks and these Romans, the Sumerians, all these people was inferior, and we was superior, and we was inferior. They was conditioned us that, you know, we come from nothing. We come from slavery. So yeah, just wanted to expound on that. Anybody got anything else before we move on?
I just want to say everything you said. That's exactly what introjection means. It's inputting ideas of the dominant, the dominant class or population into your brain, like into your whole psyche and collective consciousness, and making you. It's like a soup, like a psychological, like, man, it's real deep about what creates this type of dynamic in a societal setting. You know what I'm saying? This is some real deal, like stuff that we talk about, the critical race theory and whatnot. Like, you'll eventually get to this too. You know what I'm saying? Because all this is just their ideas. Like we talking about the note, like being inferior. That's their ideas that they're trying to put in you and make a part of your reality when it's not. And we're finna see a whole lot more of it.
Right.
My bad. Before you continue, I just wanted to say, what I've been studying is, and what I've been seeing is that it's Stockholm syndrome. That's what we're suffering from. We're suffering from Stockholm syndrome. We are in love with our oppressor's ideas of us and our oppressor. So because we are in love with those ideas and our oppressors, the ideas that they put on us, we use as endearments or disrespect because of what? We are emulating our oppressors. We just don't recognize that we're emulating our oppressors.
Yeah.
And the ones who recognize it, we are the ones who say something about it.
All right. Peace, brother. Blak Panther, what's happening with you, man? I see you done jumped on the panel, man. How you doing, brother?
Hey, peace to everybody on the panel. Peace, brother Kofi. Thank you for inviting me. I'm just listening. From what I caught of what you said, for me, it's a little different, being that my father is from the continent and my mother is born in America, in Memphis, Tennessee. So I got it from both sides. I got the, stereotypical derogatory things about Africa, but I also got, the stereotypical things about just being Black in America. So, my perspective, I never fell for the things that you specifically fell for because of my, my father's heritage. I always knew that was some bullshit. But I did take note of how hard it was pushed, in society. I used to watch or look at or observe those same cartoons, those same negative images. And when something is pushed in a culture a lot, people start to assimilate into its idea. So pretty soon you had Black folks making African jokes. You had African Americans saying these things that they saw on TV. And then it becomes a stereotypical joke that everybody joins in on, and we don't even realize that we're assimilating into an idea that wasn't our own from the beginning. But unfortunately, a lot of us have to grow up and seek knowledge on our own to kind of break out of that spell. It's because, like the brother said, it's so deep and it's become so much indoctrinated into our society that people do it without even realizing it. Like, how many times have you heard a joke about Africa and people start using clicking noises.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, and it's crazy you said that. Now, I hear this in my own house, bro. I hear this in my own house.
And you're gonna hear it because it's been ingrained so much in our society. But if you ask the random person, hey, what people in Africa talk in cliques? They're not gonna know who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to name the tribe. And it's not just one tribe. There's several tribes in Southern Africa that either talk in cliques or mix words with cliques or do a variety of the both. Mm-hmm. But they have no idea where that joke came from. And it didn't come from black people. That's how ingrained this is into our society. We're starting, like the brother said, we are imitating the imitators. We have overlapped their imitation of us. That's how powerful it is. You know, it's psychological warfare. You cannot continue to oppress and colonize a people until you destroy their self-image.
That's a fact.
And not only did they destroy our self-image, but they made sure that they would put things in place to where we wouldn't even want to seek that self-image again if we so chose to.
Right.
So you just got to be aware of how much, damage has been done, post transatlantic slave trade in America and around the world. And it's so bad. It's even in other cultures that are not African. Because if you go to other cultures, the darker ones are still discriminated on. Now, why is that? Why would a dark Arab care about how dark another Arab is, or a dark Australian, or a dark Mexican? Why would they care? It's because they perceive them as being a part of us. And if you look African, that's a no-no. It's a taboo. It's a badge of shame. So that's just how much this is spread, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah. Sutek, you said you had something for the Sutek?
No, that was me. That was Rob.
Okay, go ahead, brother Rob.
I got a different perspective because I grew up in the 70s. So when I was growing up, it was all about Black Power. We knew that we were African. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to figure out at what point did this disconnect happen? Because we went by names like Africa. We incorporated that into our names. We got a brother from the Jungle Brothers whose name is Africa. We had Africa Bambaataa. So it's kind of strange to me with this generation, with what's going on today, with this total disrespect and this hatred towards being African. It hurts me so bad because I'm not used to that atmosphere. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm speechless when it comes to this, man, because I can't figure it out.
Brother, you know what happened? I want to help you out with this. You think about in your day when you were coming up, what the topic of the songs were in hip hop.
I'll go before hip hop because I'm before hip hop started, before hip hop was recorded.
But you mentioned African Bambaataa, you mentioned these other brothers. That was the transition into hip hop. People were wearing the medallions, the African medallions. They did not have a problem with being called African. They embraced it. They made songs about it. They made songs about anti-apartheid. All that type of stuff was around your era, and that was on the radio. That was popular.
I grew up in the Black and Proud era. You know what I mean? James Brown, right. Black and I'm Proud.
Absolutely. So let's take that era. So Black and I'm Proud, really establishing ourselves in America as being Black folk and not being ashamed of being Black folk and not being ashamed of our history. Yep. Then you transition, to the 80s. They're still doing it. You got Public Enemy. you got a lot of people and a lot of groups. You got an X-Clan. You got all these guys out here repping.
Right. You had that resurgence in 88, 89.
Then watch it slowly die.
And guess what happened in 85?
Say that again?
Guess what happened in 85?
What
Guess
happened?
What happened in 85? The introduction of gangster rap.
There we go.
No.
There we go.
No.
It slowly dies.
Yes.
It starts to die then. And then by the time we're at the end of the 90s.
Oh, you said the West Coast. Okay.
Right. Because that's where it comes from. We got NWA.
You said 85, and we didn't have no NWA over here in 1985. We didn't have no gangster rap over here in 1985.
But they were coming out. That's when in California, where I'm from, that's when they popped up.
All right, because there was no such thing as gangster rap.
Where I'm from.
It was just hip hop, and you was just an MC. We didn't have no labels, gangster rap, and this kind of rap and that kind of rap. You just was an MC, and you did hip hop.
Listen. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is the integration of this disrespect and of women being called what? Not women, but other words, explicitives. Because what did NWA do?
But no. But
what did Too Short and their guy? Hold on. Listen, Robert. Please, let me talk, bro. Let me talk.
Let him speak, and then you can go ahead, Rob.
All right.
So
I'm listening.
The brothers like NWA, Too Short, and those brothers, they was bringing in this type of music where it was cool to disrespect women. It was fashionable to have multiple women and talk about how you treated the women. It was fashionable. I grew up listening to it. Too Short, E40, Marvelous. I grew up listening to them. I'm from Pasadena, California. That's all I grew up listening to. So I know how the transition happened. I remember Brand Nubian, X-Clan, and all them repping hard. But when that transition came, when they came, what started happening? The white people started wanting to hear that. It became fashionable for who? I took a class on this.
That's where I was going, brother.
I'm actually going to go up to the school where I took the classes from and get the book so I can I can actually show y'all.
No, I appreciate
how this transition happened.
But I lived it.
Because that's part of the transition. We all lived it.
What I'm saying,
I lived it too.
What I'm saying to you is that in terms of hip hop and its beginnings, that has always been an element in hip hop, because it's like Lord Jamal said, hip hop was basically a conversation amongst men, talking about the things that we go through on a daily basis from our perspective. That's what hip hop was. That's what rap was. It was from a male's perspective. So that being said,
you're breaking up on us, Robert.
What happened was that that subject matter started to become prominent. You know, because and we started to lose that balance. And that happened around the time of NWA 88, 89, 90, 91. Because there was songs where you couldn't even curse on songs. People didn't start really cursing on records until the 90s. To the mid-90s at that. Because in the early 90s, they still wasn't cursing on songs.
I agree.
So I understand what you're saying, Sabio. I do agree with you, but I just didn't want to leave that little element out, that we lost that balance.
I agree 100%. That's where I was going. You just see the balance go away, and you see the African element slowly die by the time the late 90s come till it's almost gone.
Yep.
You know, and that's where the transition comes into play as far as people associated themselves with Africa. People associated themselves with being black and proud. People associated themselves with uplifting themselves, and even the dress changes. And one thing we left out, white record execs got together in this meeting that everybody knows about and talked about monetizing negative content
I agree.
to Black Americans.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
And they knew they was gonna make some money.
Yes,
And
they
those that
did.
wasn't with that money, they got kicked out of the fold. And those that wanted to do it because they knew it was going to be a big thing, they became the most powerful record execs. That some of them are still around today. Some of those labels are still around today making money. So that's when you see it start to change.
And you know how powerful that was when Queen Latifah came out with Ladies First? She came out with the name Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
You know how powerful that was?
Do you remember her in House Party? I think it was 2 when she came out there with the African hat on.
Yeah, that was 2.
And the medallion. Like everybody wanted to wear them joints.
Yep. I got one now.
But how many hip hop people you see with it now?
Yep. If you look at all those videos, between like 88 and 91, the majority of them you'll see a lot of people wearing kente cloth, cowrie shells.
And that changes to diamonds and gold.
Yeah.
You know,
the gold. We used to wear black medallions, or we didn't wear no gold. We wore black medallions.
Right. I wanted one so bad when I was little. When I was little growing up, and I seen the boys wearing, I said, "Mom, I want one of those."
Man, we used to wear that with so much pride.
Y'all know what? Y'all want to know something? I still got one of them black medallions.
Yeah, I got 2. I bought them.
I still got one of them old black medallions.
I didn't get them until I was actually a grown man, but I got 2 of them. But let's get back into let's get back into the video. But you talked about chorus shells a while ago. We talked about Blak Panther. You talked about the Robert, you and Blak Panther was talking about the dressing and stuff change, and you talked about kente cloth and chorus shells. I was taught with chorus shells that it was gay for a man to wear chorus shells. I didn't know that chorus shells was a part of our culture. That we use chorus shells for currency. We use chorus shells on our clothing. For necklaces, bracelets. You know what I'm saying? Headdresses.
I never heard that.
I'm telling you, brother. I'm telling you, I couldn't wear that.
I wasn't taught that, but I seen from what I seen. The people that from where I'm from that was wearing cowrie shells, they had that feminine energy.
So it wasn't like that when I was growing up. But men didn't generally wear cowrie shells. I mean, we might have worn them around our neck, but it was really a woman thing.
Right. Exactly.
Somebody
he breaking up.
Breaking up.
You can barely hear him.
But one thing is damn sure, everybody had kente cloth. Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. But let's get on back into the video, man. And then y'all just let me know when to stop it. Because like I said, man, this is a good documentary. And like I said, I advise everybody to watch this video. But let's get back into it.
To African American.
But just let me know when y'all want me to stop it again, and we can go into another diatribe.
Oh, Kofi, before you start the video, let me. When you finish, I want to touch on what we was talking about the other day, the African families that I grew up with and what they went through and my experiences with them.
Yeah, most definitely. We're gonna get into it.
All right.
I looked it up, and it's a Yoruba word. It refers to some type of wild animal. Now, they've never said it to my face, but I've heard them.
Before coming to America, I was told, stay away from African Americans. They're so violent. They're so dangerous. So I had that pre-notion that I should not keep myself involved with them because they'll take me down with them or just end up being in trouble and ship back to Africa.
And see, there, right there. You see the propaganda right there. A lot of them don't fool with us because they scared they were going to be taken back to Africa. And the stereotype, too, like even when you use the word, that word, Akata or other different words, it also can, resort to being a thug. You know what I'm saying? Because they're even, we're going to show later on that they're going to be on a panel. You're going to have on one side of the panel, you got people that are continental Africans, and then you got diaspora Africans, those who are in the States on the other side. So they're going to be having a conversation back between each other. And one of the ladies are going to be saying that, one of the brothers are actually going to be saying what was taught to them, that we over here in the United States, or can somebody mute their mic, please? We over here in the States are thugs, our women are whores, they are lazy, we are killing one another. You know what I'm saying? We are up to no good. We don't want to work. We always looking for handouts. So they're looking at these types of things. So they're now being conditioned over there. So when they get over here, they already got a preconceived notion that we, the African American over here, are bad people. So you need to stay away from them. They are riffraffs. You don't want to get mixed up in the trouble that they are always causing. And if you get mixed up in those causes, all we gonna do is just send you back over there to Africa.
Brother Kofit, let me quickly tell you, from my family's experience, just how much that narrative is pushed. My father was an immigrant from Gambia. Two of my brothers were immigrants from Gambia. There is a video that they show immigrants that come in this country of Black Americans. And in that video, we are depicted in the worst ways imaginable. And all that video does is reinforce what you just said.
Oh, so that's true. The video is true.
Yeah, the video exists.
Wow. I heard it, but I wasn't sure. Wow.
That video exists. I don't know if they're still showing the video, but I know at one point it existed.
Wow. Yeah, I heard about it. I used to hear about the video.
It shows us as thugs, shows our women as, whores. It shows us as, drug dealers and murderers and everything you can think of. And then, it's not that some Africans, like he just said, if I get caught up in that, I'm going to lose my scholarship. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. And then, I'm going to fail. And they're going to send me back. So it's so many things in place to keep us apart, to keep us, at odds. It's a lot of layers to this onion, so to speak. But I just wanted to let the people know that was in place for a long time. So even if they don't show the video anymore, the people that seen that video that had children, guess what? Now you don't need a video.
Right.
You got a whole generation of people that already saw it. So now they got their kids and they gonna say, hey, don't get caught up with Jamal because of this, and this. So, it's unfortunate, but it's what happens.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I definitely throughout the years heard about this video today, but I just wasn't sure about it. But damn, I appreciate you validating that, man.
When I'm with Africans, they freely tell me that they feel that African Americans don't take advantage of the opportunity they have here in this country. They feel that some of them are lazy, they're not serious. And when I'm around African Americans, they express that they feel Africans have this ego and this sense of pride and act like they're better than them.
So I'm from Northern California, and I didn't really hear too much about this Black versus African thing until I got to Southern California, because in Northern California, everybody identifies themselves as Black. But Paul Mooney said it the best. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga, because you dress like me, you act like me, you listen to the same music as me, but you don't want to be called Black, as if Black is a negative thing.
And there our story lingered, in the mark and the mire, the vague whispers of masked men who had long forgotten their true faces. And then one day, something unexpected happened to one of the daughters of the land of warm waters.
So my name is Perez Owino, and I'm from Kenya, which, is in Africa. And when I came to America, my greatest desire was to share Africa, a little bit of drumming here and there, with every African American I met. And the first African American I met said to me, I quote, "I am not African. I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and you people sold us. And he was actually quite serious. So, when you experience things like this, you begin to wonder, is this an anomaly, or are other Africans experiencing this?
I was called African booty scratcher I don't know how many times.
I'm not even sure what an African booty scratcher is. I don't know if it's a stick you scratch your back with. I have no idea, but it's a term we've been calling each other since we've been children. Typically, the darker you are, you tend to be called that term.
Look, I had one experience where they were asking me all these stupid questions. Well, do you guys wear clothes in Africa? I was like, yes or no. I didn't really understand. So they asked me if I was wearing underwears, and I said no, not knowing what underwears was. So by recess, I was being chased around the entire school by all the kids, trying to pull my pants down to find out if I have underwears on.
This I'm a little ashamed of, but I've talked to many Africans. I have a lot of African friends, and I've heard horrible experiences as children or adults who just came being called all kind of names, being approached, being called African booty scratcher. But when you think about it, it would make sense that they wouldn't come and call us names, because we grew up in a country where we've been called names since the beginning. So unfortunately, it's in our culture to walk up to someone we think is less than us and let them know how we feel about them.
I had this thing where I didn't want to be identified with being African. Being African wasn't cool. You get jumped for being African. So I didn't speak with any kind of an accent. I was down with hip hop. I was doing anything possible not to so no one would realize that I'm from Africa. They ask me where I'm from, I say BX or Brooklyn or wherever, but as long as it's not African. So eventually some friends were like, what's up with you, man? We know you African, so why are you hiding it? Why don't you ever represent where you from? And that was like a big question for me. I mean, I was ashamed of being African.
The people who have problems with each other are Africans who do not interact with African Americans, and the African Americans who have problems with Africans are the African Americans who really don't interact with Africans.
So how many African Americans do you know?
I know pretty much a lot of them.
Broken bread with them?
Yes.
Been to their homes?
I wouldn't say that.
So you know a lot of African Americans, you've never been to their homes?
Most of them have been my employees. So
okay, so you just your knowledge of them is more like acquaintances or employees, but not like friends.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been in America?
25 years.
Hey! No African American friends? Sorry to put you in the spot.
No, actually I do, but right off the top of my head, I don't have a lot of them.
But you've never been to like an African American gathering, potluck, or anything like that?
No, I'm sorry. I swear.
Hey. Okay.
Let me stop, and that's what I was talking about right here. That's kind of crazy to me. And I don't know. Last night I was, when I was re-looking at it, I was feeling a certain type of way about this brother right here. And I mean, I know it's not his fault. He's been here 25 years, and he must have a business, because he said he has African Americans who have worked for him. She asked, have he been to any African American gatherings? He said no. Have he ever been into an African American home to break bread? He says no. And I don't know, just his body language or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I was a little upset, because I'm feeling, just by him talking and, looking at his body language, he feels like, he's better than those African Americans. And again, that goes back to the stereotyping, the conditioning that they was given. We lazy, you know what I'm saying? All we want is handouts. We're troublemakers. So I mean, that was kind of crazy to me. That kind of stood out to me. He's been over here 25 years, and he hasn't broken bread or even been into the home of an African American. Brother Robert, before we move on, man, go ahead and kind of talk about your experiences that you had coming up, where you say you lived around and you have many African friends.
Most definitely, because you got to remember, in Harlem, we always had an African market. There was always an African market in Harlem, and I grew up in the projects in Queensbridge, with people that were from the continent of Africa. I grew up with a family, particularly that I was close to. Her name was Miss Mary. Her son was, she had 3 sons.
Hold on, Rob. Hold on 1 second. Sutek, drop the link in the chat for I Am Sosa, please. Go ahead, Brother Robert. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she had 3 sons and a daughter. Karinga was the oldest. He's my age. It's Karinga, Oogie. Oogie, God bless her dead. He died a few years ago. And Alatuji, and the daughter Bebe. You know, and I remember when they first moved to the project, and they used to wear their dashikis and everything, you know, because before the kente cloth, it was the dashikis. We wore dashikis, you know, so they would wear their dashikis all the time, and they was little, you know, we little kids at this time. This is like this is probably maybe the early 80s, maybe the late 70s, early 80s when they first moved in. And anyway, they would get teased a lot. They would get into a lot of fights and everything. You know what I'm saying? Just because they were, you know, they were perceived as being different. But as time went on, they assimilated into the African American culture, you know, and, you know, they just became Americanized. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, growing up in New York, we've always had African, especially in Harlem, we've always had African markets, so we would never detach from who we were. So, like I said, the things that have been going on now within the past few years, especially within the country,
You're breaking up again.
Breaking up, yeah. Breaking up.
I mean, you know, you always grew up with, you always was around people that were ashamed to be African, but they didn't outwardly express that. You know what I'm saying? They would acknowledge that they, you know, that's who they are, but they would shun it. You know, I'm part Indian. You know, I'm part Chinese. You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So,
and even like what we was talking about yesterday, with we like you said, we so enthused, like we'll ask them something about their culture. You know what I'm saying? We'll ask them something about, you know, their customs. You know, I'm part Indian, or I got Indian in me, or my family down the line got Chinese. Now we're interested about that. But when somebody says they're African, you know, their family lineage goes back to Sierra Leone, goes back to, it's crickets. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Ain't nobody trying to check and see, you know, and enthuse about, man, what is the culture? What is the customs? What y'all do down there? Blase is crickets, but we always enthuse about somebody else's culture. But when it comes to our culture,
and you know what's crazy, Kofi? Because when I was growing up, you know, it was a big thing to go to Africa, because you know, it was expensive back then, but that was a major thing. You know what I'm saying? If somebody went to Africa, everybody, when they came back, people wanted to know what it was like, or, you know, what the people like, what the food like, and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? It was celebrated. So I'm just like, you know, with this Abo movement where they feel they could just make up anything. And then you got the Africans that are looking at this. You got the continental Africans that are looking at this. So I'm wondering, what are they thinking? What is on their mind when they hear African Americans just outwardly say, I'm not African, I'm an American?
Yeah.
You know, all these other ethnic groups, all these other races are looking at it.
They probably feel disrespected. You know what? Can I say something? Can I say something on that? Because I have an African friend that I talk to on a regular basis. And you know what he says when he hear African Americans say that they're not African? He says he feels disrespected.
And he should. And he should.
This man is 65 years old. And he says he's from Senegal. He says he feels disrespected every time he hears an African American tell him to his face that he's not an African. That the African American man, he's not an African. He feels so disrespected.
I do too. I hate to hear it.
So when he says when he talks to me, he's happy to talk to me.
Yeah. I hear it on the daily. I mean, I won't say on a daily. I don't.
He said when he talked to me.
Go ahead.
I just be like, this is sad. He says when he talked to me, he's happy to hear somebody who's proud to call himself an African. who doesn't look at being African as disrespectful.
Well, we'll get back to
Hey,
the
peace.
video.
Hey,
Oh,
peace, y'all.
Go ahead, Sosa.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me good? Cause I'm in my car. I want to make sure ain't no echo.
Yeah. You good, Sosa? Please, bro.
Yeah,
Sosa.
you good.
What's happening? What's happening?
All right. You know what? I think it's a good conversation like this. You know, it's a lot that has to be unpacked when you deal with different dynamics. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, also when one says I'm not an African, right? Now we're talking removed from the Abo community, right? Sometimes in the context of what people are saying, we're talking about people that know the slave trade happened. They know they come from Africa. You're looking sometimes at a people looking to self-identify because you're looking at a people that's been removed from a population of removed from a population of one continent that now wants to stand on its own. You see what I'm saying? So like these things can't be brushed off because some people are looking to self-identify to say, okay, we know we come from Africa, but we are who we are. And sometimes when people get offended when you lump everybody into the same group, and sometimes it's disrespectful to not acknowledge the differences between two groups and just put them all in the same pot and expect everything to just be hunky-dory. You feel me?
But when we say we're African, we're not just saying that we're just one particular
Somebody breaking
group
up.
of
I can't hear.
I'm sorry. I said when we embrace Africa, we're not just embracing one particular aspect of Africa. Now we're not just saying that everybody's the same ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? And when someone says, "Well, yeah, well,"
is that my mic? I can't hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear him. We can hear him. We can hear him clearly. Go ahead.
Okay. So you had said something to the effect of being separate. Us over here are separate. I'm not. Can you repeat that?
He jumped off. He probably gonna pop back on. But
okay.
But so, go ahead, because I know where you're going with this. Go ahead, because I was gonna be saying the same thing. And then even when we say, you know, people, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kofi, because I'm trying to get my thoughts together.
Yeah, but you know, we not, you know, like I guess you're trying to say we not lumping. We know people use, okay, we using this term. Yeah, I know it. I am Sosa, man. When you on your phone, family, give me a second. I guess when I don't know, StreamYard be acting crazy, man. When you on the phone,
because I can't even get on my headphones on StreamYard. I can barely hear y'all that well.
Okay, let's see if he's back on. He can read question when he pop back on. Just having to restate what he just said. Yeah, we always peace, brother. Sorry, yeah, we always talking about this black stuff over here. But go ahead, I am Sosa. You he wanted you to
chipped out.
No, you good. You good.
No, I'm saying, what did y'all? Because I kind of went out, kind of knocked me off. What y'all hear?
That last part you were saying in terms of us being separate from the Africans on the continent, and so not in terms of us not being lumped together. Like what? Like I don't understand the separation.
People, the separation comes from the people looking to self-identify.
Right.
Like,
okay.
It's like you have to. It's like you have to understand that we are no longer that. Not necessarily saying African, but culturally African. So when people become something else different culturally, they look to self-identify to that culture. So I heard you speaking like the kente cloth, right, addressing Africa. You also have to take in the aspect that a lot of African Americans also became designers, fashion designers. They started fashioning clothing that was specific to African Americans. So African Americans then started to pick up their own style of dress. I mean, so I'm not saying this. What you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying it's like you have to also address both sides of the coin to get everything to get the full perspective.
I got you on it. So let me ask you. Let's ask this question. What is African American culture? How do we define African American culture today? Separate from Africa. We're going to separate Africa from African Americans. How do you define African American culture?
Everything we do today.
exactly. Like
And you call that
the
a culture?
foods,
Let's
the
look.
the
Let's
foods.
examine what we
that
do
is
today.
culture.
Let's examine what we do today. Let's look at it. Let's look at our clothing. Let's look at our food that we eat. Let's look at our rituals, our religious practices. What about it that is distinctive from any other culture or any other group that lives here in
No, no,
America?
no, no, no. Well, no, now you're changing the context. I'm saying African American culture, African American food, right? Even speaking about Geechee Gullah people, I'm Geechee, right? We still have food that may have been based in the African context, but those foods are specific to our culture.
Like what?
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not eating hopping. They're not eating hopping johns in Africa, as far as I know.
They're not eating what?
Hoppin' John.
That's not an African American cuisine.
They eating fried chicken.
That's what.
Everybody eats fried chicken. That's not.
That's not an African.
So,
that's
bro,
not a traditional African staple.
What you're saying is that what you want to your contestant is that we're not culturally different. That's what you're saying.
What I'm
I can
saying
step
is
into
that if
Africa,
you take the Africa,
and my culture will be.
I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that if you take the Africa away from the African American, and you say we're separate, we've developed our own thing over here, separate from Africa. I wanted us to define that. I want us to define what is our culture. How can we distinguish what is it that distinguishes us from everybody else?
No, we're talking about not everybody else in America. We're talking about if you stepped onto the African continent, there are going to be things that's culturally different. Like this should not be a contention, bro. Like you should know that. Like that's like nobody should argue about a cultural differences. The same thing with Africa coming to America. That's culturally different. African seeing how we deal with capitalism. The way we have to move in a capitalistic government is different than an African may have to move on a continent. So he may look at us and saying, "Man, why are we protesting for $12 an hour? They lazy." But they don't. But they may not understand. In a capitalistic society, you can't accept 12. You have to push for 15 and 20. So there's different dynamics working at the same time. Is what I'm saying, bro.
Because I'm saying
You're breaking up again.
You're breaking up, Robert. Yeah, we definitely culturally different though. I don't see how one could argue that.
Okay, right. I agree because there's no culture there's no one particular there's no cultures that are exactly the same. Although they might share certain nuances, they're not going to be exactly the same. We understand that. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm saying is that
I understand what you're saying. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead, but you could build.
You have an issue with like in that self-identifying process.
Right. I have
essence, oxymoronic, contradiction in your self-identity. Like I feel like you could still, culturally understand that you're African American, but fundamentally understand you're biologically African. Like that's also
That's why I said in the beginning, I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about people who understand that they are African biologically. So right. We don't have that dynamic working on. I'm talking about when somebody says something, it's important not just to hear what they say, is to also try to figure out what do they mean when they say what they say. Because sometimes what a person says may not actually be what they mean when you dig into the context of it. So I'm trying to bring in a different type of context versus what you may hear. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So what I would ask is, what is the African American's worldview? How do we see the world? How do we see our relationship to the world and vice versa?
What
is our governance structure amongst ourselves?
that's specific to every the different African American. Like I can't answer for the entire African American society. That's something that's, you know what I mean? Like
Right, and
I can't answer that question.
This is the problem. This is one of the issues that we're having as a people.
Go ahead.
No, good. Go ahead, Bill.
No, because I get what both of y'all are saying, but my thing is too, like, what is, like, we're every, we use the term African loosely, and we use that word because a lot of us, don't know what particular country that we belong to or what particular ethnic group that we belong to, so we use the word African. And even when you look at Africa, you have their cultural, they share some of the same cultures, but some of them are different depending on the geographical location that they are. Y'all mentioned foods a while ago. So foods grow in the ground differently in particular different places. Like the people in Ghana may not eat the same foods, or the food that grows in Ghana may not grow in Uganda, which is Ghana is in West Africa, and Uganda is in East Africa. Each ethnic group has its own culture. It identifies with its own self. You look at the people in Ghana, you got the Fon, you got not the Fon, but you got the U, or you got the Ashanti, or you got the Akan. You look in East Africa, you look in Uganda, you got the Baganda people. They identify as the Baganda people. They don't identify as Africans. Each group has their own culture or their own cultural identity. Each culture or ethnic group has its own perspective and worldview. Each ethnic group has its own government, its own political, social views, its own spiritual views, and etc. Certain, so even in Africa, they know that each group is different depending on, basically depending on the geographical location that we in. But my thing is, here in America, the African American, when we say what is an African American? So I get what he's saying. What is an African American? Do the African American have its own culture? You know what I'm saying? And I agree with certain things that what I Am Social saying when he's talking about our own culture. But a lot of things, but I'm saying is how are we identifying with, okay, that is African American culture over there, or that's Georgia African American culture over there, that Georgia, because my culture in Mississippi is different than a culture in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? I might say whoa, or I might say Jew. Don't nobody know what the heck I'm talking about. I may say I'm finna eat a boudin. Don't nobody know what a boudin is if they not in Mississippi or from the South. So my language, my culture, my worldview is different than a person in Georgia. They say they are African American. I say I'm an African American. But my worldview is different than people that grew up in Georgia. The way I speak is different than the people that speak in Georgia. Like I'm saying, I may say certain things, people may not know what the hell I'm talking about. My worldview may be different here than in Georgia because of the certain experiences that we as Mississippians go through and having endured. So my perspective is different. So we hadn't even, as African Americans, identified ourselves as what we're going to call ourselves, and what each, like in Africa, what each state or what each country, well, we have to go by state, what each state is going to identify themselves as. Like I said, when I go to Sudan, if I go to Sudan, I know that I have the Hamra people, I have the Kara people, I have the Dinka people, and etc. So these people, this is the name of these people. This is what they identify. They don't identify as Sudanese. And each one of these, if I go in each one of these countries or towns or villages that these people belong to, they have their own languages. They have their own worldview, their own perspective. They have their own cuisines. You know what I'm saying? You know, that they eat. They have their own way of how they raise, you know, their kids. They have their own perspective of what successful look like, what bad look like, and etc. So we as African Americans, we don't have that. So I understand what he's saying when he said, what is African American culture? How do we identify? We doing the same thing now when we say Africa, and we lumping all of Africa, all of those ethnic groups into one group of people, and saying these one group of people are speaking the same language, have the same worldview, eating the same foods, have the same morals, ethics, and edicts, or etc. So the African American does not have its own, its own culture. We all over the place, and even the things that we say that is our culture, just because we do it redundantly on a day-to-day basis, does not that means that our culture, because we have integrated with the same people that we talk about. Some of the we around here, is that African American culture when we celebrate the 4th of July? Is that African American culture when we celebrate Christmas? Is that African American culture when we study? Yes, it's African American culture, but is it our culture? We have taken on the identities of other people or cultures, and we are claiming those cultural identities, those cultural nuances as our own. If we're gonna do something, let's create. That's why I'm saying I have no problem with creating our own. Let's create our own traditions. Let's create our own. Go ahead.
Hey, I want to say somebody kind of breaking up. Yeah, but I was going to say, okay, 4th of July, those things that's American. Okay, I'm talking about R&B music.
But I'm saying we study, but we celebrate those things. We celebrate. I know people on a day-to-day basis.
I'm just defining. I'm just defining, and because I'm talking about, I'm just showing African American culture. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, R&B music, the blues, rap music, right? When you sit down to an American dinner, like, you always gonna have fusion with the people whenever they get what they were. So it's not about because you're with somebody and you blend their thing, because that's part of the human experience. The human experience, taking something and blending it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you. I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
So that's our culture. When they started making Karl Kani, they started making clothing that fit comfortably and identify, and the African Americans wanted to wear FUBU. Right? Shawn John. I'm just talking about there's us taking things that we have here and creating it and molding it to fit and to fit in to be more aesthetic to our eye. That's all cult family. You can't just, that's culture. Clothing is you can't say clothing is material.
About right now, sociologically, we're talking about ethnicity right now. When you start talking about like how we're talking about mixing race,
we're talking about culture. I say culture.
I know. I'm saying that's a part of ethnicity.
Right. I know what social talking about is fashion.
Hold on, let Travis go in. Go ahead, Travis. I know you really go with this. Hold on, let Travis go ahead.
Fashion is culture.
Right, like, the way we wear our clothes is different than the way everybody else was wearing their clothes.
Culture, music. Okay, maybe we need to talk. Maybe
like,
hold on. Maybe we need to. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's define what culture is first.
Ethnicity. This is from my sociological textbook.
No, I'm saying. Let's define what culture is first.
Shared culture, the practices, the values, and the beliefs of a group. That's what we're talking about right now.
No, I'm talking about culture. So we was talking about. Listen, I'm asking. Hold on. What I'm asking you is this. What I'm saying is this. I want to talk about culture. So can we define what culture is? So when I show you, when I bring it up, it won't say, well, that's not culture.
Listen. Hold on. Because see, we didn't, and see this. That okay. Let's finish the bill first, because see, that's what I'm saying. We're not gonna get finished with what we started. I invited people on. I mean, we can do that, but I don't like the back and forth what I'm saying back and forth, because now we veering off from what the objective goal was. Now we are arguing about culture and ethnicity and us, whatever it is, man. But I want to kind of stay on course because we done kind of veered all the way off of course, and then we do this. We finna be talking about this for the next hour. I don't have
that's the after show. It's the
right.
after show.
I don't have another hour. We can do this. I'm not saying we don't. I'm trying to run away from it. We can do this. I want to talk about this. This is good, but we done veered away from what the show was all the way about. I mean, can y'all agree? I mean, if y'all don't, we can stop what we're doing.
I was just trying to put it in context as to what I'm assessing what I'm listening to, and the mention of culture is us essentially describing our ethnicity. When we're talking about African, we're talking about in ethnicity. There's the mixing of race, ethnicity, like at the same time, and that's probably where there's confusion because we're not being extremely clear. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe some of us don't recognize the distinctions, but that's where I think a lot of the miscommunication comes in at.
Right.
I agree with Sosa, but we'll deal with that after. Let's get back to the topic. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to the write that down, man. I probably have to. If we do an after show, Sutek, you can start the after show. Once I get through doing what I'm doing, I'll hop back in, man. I mean, this is a great discussion to have, man. You know, but like I said, when we get on something, and I see that when you know we have a program, we have an objective of what we're trying to do, and then when everybody has their own ideals or their own opinions on certain things, they never get to, or we even lose them. They lose the message because we go and we start arguing or going back and forth because we're not understanding where each other is coming from. And we do that for a whole hour or 2 hours. And the initial show, what it's about, it turns into something else. So I just don't want it to turn into something else. I'm not saying it's good because what he's saying, I'm just saying we just need to define, like Sosa said, and even get a better understanding what Chavis is saying when we're mixing up two or three different things.
Right, and that's all. Well, that's all I was saying, Coach. Then I'll let you go on. But when I was talking about culture, this is culture. How culture is defined: the customs, arts is your music, so forth and so on. Social institutions and achievements of a particular nation, people, or social group. That's what culture is.
Okay,
right?
so
but go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, no, okay. We're gonna go, but okay, and that goes back to what Chavis was actually saying too. When you're talking about describing, like I can look at the Bombardra people and look at their customs. I can look at some of their cultural nuances, their art, their music, and say, shoot, those are the Bombardra people. Those are not, those are not the U people, or those are not the Igbo people because of what you, so that right there, what you said is culture. I understand that is a part of their culture. Now, they may have certain things that may resemble other different ethnic groups, but they got stuff that's outside of it. So what I'm saying is, how can we, so are we lumping that again? Are we lumping African Americans all into one? Because when you saying clothing, you know what I'm saying, and we can establish a culture through certain things that a culture, a certain ethnic group wears. You know what I'm saying? So, and because again, I'm in Mississippi, certain stuff that we wear here, it's not certain things that worn in the South, they don't wear in the East. I don't wear Timberland boots. You know what I'm saying? I don't wear, you know what I'm saying? I don't wear Kangos. You know what I'm saying? So I identify with, when I identify Kangos, I identify Timberlands with New York, but have New York identified them, New Yorkers identify, and even with that, you got so many different boroughs in New York. So are we that's my thing, identifying.
Yeah, but all of it is still African American, Kofi. Whether that, you know what I'm saying, all of that's still African American. Even though it's different, like different dynamics, there's thousands of things that are different, but it's still African American. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So my thing would be, so when you have an African, a continental African over here, could you distinguish between the two?
Of course you can. But we'll save it for the after show. That way, Kofi.
My thing is,
yeah,
before we go. Yeah. We'll save it for another bill. That's why I started when I came and I said, bro, it's a lot that has to be unpacked. Like it take a good bit of shows that, you know what I mean, to get it off. But go ahead.
Yeah. And that's what we doing. I'm saying what you did. I mean, I'm not knocking nothing you did. You came in, you give it, and that's what we doing, and that's what we trying to do with this documentary. We're not even gonna get to the next one. You know what I'm saying? Because we wanted to unpack. Because what I'm saying, I'm right now the video. I don't know because you probably just jumped on now. This documentary that we playing now, we hearing two sides of the coin. So we.
No, I've been listening. I've been listening to Kofi for the beginning. I came in for the beginning.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm with you.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead, man, and we'll play some more, man, and we'll deal with it.
I know I'm not judging, but yeah, probably there is, because I don't think in 25 years. Hundreds of years later, the descendants of these two brothers now stood isolated, the gulf between them almost insurmountable. So now, you have Africans on one corner, calling African Americans Akata, which is some kind of wild animal, apparently. You have African Americans calling Africans booty scratcher. I don't even know what that is. And you begin to realize that, you know what, let's just get all these people into one room, those who are at least bold enough to pull down those masks and address each other head on. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? In the span of 3 years, she would gather the descendants of these two brothers and have them sit face to face and talk. These gatherings picked up momentum, like a clock running to catch up with time. One of the issues that, at least with the Africans that I've met, that they have the issue with the whole African American label is because they tend to say that every single time they encounter an African American, there seems to be that kind of, I want to use the word ignorance for lack of a better word, of the continent or the continent's history. And there just seems to be this shame that comes off with regards to Africans. So they're like, we don't understand why they call themselves that, when they don't seem to like Africa.
Americans don't understand the African cultures because we was never taught it.
Yes.
The things we were taught is slavery, and that we're slaves. That's the only thing we've ever been taught about the American culture. I mean, about the African culture, unless you do your history and your research yourself. Because in schools, we learn his story, which is the European story. We don't learn our story.
You better say
so that takes away. That takes away from us learning who we actually are from the beginning.
You're saying, and then that's the blame game that I feel that. Well, let me finish.
I'm gonna let you finish.
That's the blame game that I feel like that African Americans are going to, because it's always somebody else's fault that we didn't learn this or that. I never blame nobody for my own mistakes. Or I can understand a teenager, but a grown man, a grown woman, it's upon them to learn about their history and know exactly what happened, and therefore not blaming somebody else, but know exactly what happened. Okay. And so that's what I'm saying.
Okay, hey, let me stop right there. Do y'all agree with what our beautiful African sister just said?
That was very interesting, Kofi, but go ahead.
No, I don't agree with her at all.
Okay, go ahead. Why you don't agree with what she's saying? I mean, because I want to hear. You know, I got my own.
There is blame to be placed, but there is blame to be placed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how insane is that? It's like some invisible people came along and did this and enslaved us. Like, come on.
She's saying that, okay, we have to start taking accountability for our own self. She's saying, okay, as a child, she understands, but when you get grown, it's up to you now to try to, understand your history, or understand, exactly where you coming from. So I think that's what she got the gripe at now, that we are able, just like Carter Wilson said, he says, you get two educations, an education that is given to you and then an education that you give yourself. And most of the time the education we give to ourselves, we already have become adults. You know what I'm saying? We become adults and we come across certain things. So now we start to research for our own selves to find out, oh, okay, well, let me see where I come from. Let me see where my lineage come from. Let me see, what my people contributed to the world. Let me see what kind of customs and traditions that she had. What we had and et cetera. But go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to figure out in what context does she mean that who takes what blame? Or
let's run it
nah,
back.
She's saying that you can't say, well, I didn't learn about the African culture now that you're an adult.
Oh,
She's saying that you cannot make that excuse. You have to take it upon yourself.
Okay, I apologize. I heard her wrong. My apologies, y'all. I heard her wrong. My apologies.
Which I think is very strange, because then you can't, on the other hand, make the argument that, well, the Africans didn't know slavery, because you can say, well, you grown. You're supposed to know what happened with that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, that's kind of an interesting comment.
Right.
Yeah, it's really like I didn't come across this information until my 40s. All right, so all through my late teens and early 20s and going into it was all pseudo information. It was, it was that black man is God, Asiatic black man, and you had the Nuwapians was running strong. They was the Ansar Allah. You had the Hebrew Israelites. You had the Yahweh Ben Yahweh. You had all these different pseudo groups running around. So it was hard to really understand the information. Like who exactly were we? Who am I? You're telling me I'm black and I'm African, but you're calling me an Asiatic. How was and then when you ask them, well, what's the difference? They go into all that Brooklyn magic stuff, and during those times in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have methodology to make sure.
You breaking up again, Rob.
So we basically had to accept what we were told. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to accept all those pseudo books that Dr. York was putting out. We thought that was something special.
Anybody else got anything before we move on?
I think what she's saying is kind of objective, in the sense is she's basically like paraphrasing, like, at what point do you become intrinsically motivated to Sankofa, basically? Like, how long are you going to continue to say, okay, because when you say your shit's been, hidden from you or whatever, that's an observation. The next step is to do something about it, or to at least have the initiative. A lot of people over here just are comfortable with the social construct and the ethnicity that, we have. We could care less about your past, the people you come from. Like that. That's how my dad is. He don't want to take no DNA tests. He from Maker's Home. He from Houston. He don't care about being out. That's something I'm diametrically opposed to. Like, I'm on the complete opposite of that. So I get what
that's how my mama is. She ain't worried about that.
But my mama is very much in tune with, West Africa and the practices and whatnot. Even though she still practices, Christianity, she's in tune with that. But it's just a split, and there are many reasons for people not wanting to, or just accepting the identity that, is pretty much we created, but it's in essence given to you. But yeah, I think what she said is objective.
Yeah, I do too. Anybody else?
Yeah, man. I say
she said.
Oh no, go ahead, Satep.
Peace, brother Satep and Ra Mary Aman.
Peace. What's happening? Nah, I was just
Except around Mary Buffett.
Nah, I was just messing with y'all. I said I agree with everything she said. Peace to everybody on the panel.
I think if you don't know about that, okay, the school ain't gonna teach you. First of all, we can't expect somebody that brought us over here and did what they did to, openly admit that in school and teach you that. But if you're not introduced to it some way, then how I don't understand how it could be your fault. If I'm not introduced to if I'm not introduced to R&B, then how could one be upset if I don't know what R&B is, if I don't go out and search that? How can I go out and search something I ain't never heard about? Like, I don't think that makes sense to me, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm tripping. But if you ain't heard about your ancestors being transported over here via the transatlantic slave trade and what happened, how would you know? Where would you get that from? Except for maybe a move. Yeah, you grown, so that means you supposed to have some divine knowledge. Like, I don't think they go that way.
I don't think it's divine knowledge. It's just that like I said, intrinsic motivation.
Right.
But how can you be motivated to find out if you don't know about it?
I mean, you have to want to be. You have to have the intrinsic motivation to want to have to want to know something, and not be comfortable with whatever you believe. You got to challenge yourself. Challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way you would.
I feel that, or simply say, okay, if I'm African and they call those folks over there African American, what's up with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that would lead one to look, you see, to like try to.
Well, then we'll be like, well, what is that? And then what you'll end up finding out is that there are sociological constructs and that are basically typologically grouped differently. You have races and you have ethnicity. What we're talking about when we say African, that's basically lumped into a race. When we're talking about African American, that's an ethnicity. So they're like branches of one another.
I feel what you're saying, because I was thinking, like, if you walk up to a sister in Atlanta and say, "Are you African?" she's gonna be like, "No," right?
But are you African American?
Right? And she wouldn't be wrong, right? Yeah, exactly. Right? Because she could be like, "No."
I mean, it would depend on the context, because
that's what
she
what I'm saying is, like, just
if you're gonna say that you're African American, you're on that branch of being an African, just with the term African being in the front of American, pretty much is self-explanatory.
People don't look at it like that.
I'm saying, like, in the social construct of it, though. You can't like,
that's ignorance of them.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, no, but hear me out. Hear what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, in America, you would really be grammatically incorrect to do it that way. If you walk up to a sister from Atlanta, she's born here, and you say, "Are you African?" the correct response would be no. I'm an African American. Because if I walk up for somebody from Somali and say, "Are you African?" they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm from Somalia."
That's how she chooses to self-identify, but to say that she would be, I mean, like, not African is also wrong, because
no, I ain't saying, I never said she wouldn't be African. I said that her response in the context wouldn't be wrong. I'm not saying that she's not African. I'm not saying that. We are about
argue that that response could be wrong based on how I'm framing it right now, like, because it's a branch. So ethnicity wise, you're African American. If we're using these sociological constructs, you have to use you can't, like, ignore how they're set up. They are typological groupings, and you got to understand where you're at in them.
Anybody disagree with what Brother Chavis is saying?
I'll just put a pin on the Kobe so we can keep going. I think we, like I said, I understand what he's saying. Like I don't disagree with nothing he's saying. Like you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, let's get on back into this sister here. I'm telling you, throughout the busting night, she is trying to let the African Americans have it. I'm telling you.
If I've never showed you the way to go about finding your history, how would you find it?
Well,
meaning what I'm saying is if I never feed you, you're gonna stay hungry, correct? And
But
eventually you're gonna die if you don't eat.
No, but if you are hungry, and you are really hungry, your stomach is asking you to eat, you will go and find a way to get something to eat to satisfy that hunger.
But not if you don't know.
You don't know that you're hungry?
I mean, you know that you're hungry, but you don't know where to go get that food from.
That's the mentality of survival.
As Tim said, the only thing that I've heard about my past is that I am a nigger, that I am a slave, that I am nothing. So absolutely they feel ashamed about it. But I feel, as an educator, as adults, we need to take that step, teach our children, because as he said, you're not going to do it if in the classroom, you're not going to know about it. It's only mandated in 5 states. So if mom doesn't do it, dad doesn't do it, auntie doesn't do it, who's going to do it?
If you don't talk to our African American, if you never go to their house, if they don't come to your house, how do you know about it? It's on TV.
As she peered closely at the relationship between this box and Africans and African Americans, an interesting pattern emerged. Throughout celluloid history, both Africans and African Americans have been depicted as uncivilized children. The gods must be crazy, Amos and Andy. Then they develop into men hungry for violence, tears of the sun, menace to society. And finally, a savior would emerge, machine gun preacher, dangerous minds.
When I spent time in South Africa, people kept saying to me, "Oh, so you're a Negro, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm not a Negro. I'm Black or I'm African American. Because their understanding is that African Americans are called or Black Americans are called Negroes, right? Not just that, but then when they show African Americans today, they only show the ones from the hood, right? The negative, the one like, what you that's all they show. So now the reason why even Africans themselves have a dislike or distaste for African Americans is because
and that validates what Brother Panther was stating earlier. He's saying they are showing him that. I heard about they would show them that or CD images of what the African American is doing, portraying us as thugs and drug dealers and women as whores and us as a whole as being lazy and she's still up under that perception of us blaming, because when you look at it, we're not going to show the whole thing. Like I'm saying, she just has an issue with us always blaming the white man because we don't know this and we don't know that, or we can't get ahead and so forth. But this brother just validated what Brother Ben was talking about. He's saying that they only showing the people who are detriment in our community, in our community. So when they get over here, and as the brother said earlier, it's showing that, hey, I'm not finna mess up. A lot of them come over here for a better life. A lot of them come over here for school. I'm not finna mess up my schooling. I'm not finna mess up my scholarship. I'm not finna mess up anything, my job or whatever it is that I come over here to do to make a better living for me and my family. I'm not finna mess it up by going over here and fooling with these thugs, these no goods that look just like us. So this is the propaganda, this is the conditioning, that they are conditioning everyone that's coming over here, showing them these bad images. And like I said, we probably won't get to the other one because we're running out of time. But the brother who also video that we wanted to play at the end, he actually shows in one of his slides the images that they are actually showing on both sides, the images that the media, the movies, the cartoons are showing, and also what they are shown as they are coming over here, or how they're portrayed in Africa. The media and how the media portray us as looking bad to them over there. But let's go ahead. Let's continue.
Hey, let me ask a question though, Kofi. Is the movie they're watching, right? Is it? Are they being shown it by the African government in Africa before they come to America, or are they seeing it once again to America is given to them in America?
From what I heard, I'm not sure. From what I heard, it is given to them in America once they arrive here. But it could be over there because, and what I'm saying is that is when people getting these opportunities to go over there. Let's just take for instance, and I'm not going to talk long about it, but let's just talk about the different programs. There are different programs in Africa right now, and programs that's in the past of Europeans over there in Africa. Let's just deal with the Sudan real quick. I wrote about this. This is coming out in the chapter. Let's just talk about the lost tribes. I mean, the Dinka people. And not the lost tribes of Israel, the lost tribes of the Dinka people. We're talking about they're calling them that because during the colonization period where you had the Britain in the Sudan, and then you had the Muslims, and then it became a government where you had the Muslims and the British over the government. You had the Muslims on the south, you had the British on the east. British ran most of the things, but certain things that happened when they could completely control over the Muslims. So people began to lose their traditions, and then children began to get lost. So they created these programs, even now through colonization, with certain things that happened through colonization where people came in, they had the scorch laws they had where people couldn't, these high rates, if they didn't pay, people was getting picked out. It was all these types of things. So they had these programs where they would bring these people that was in these what we call these places the people, these homes, what we call the homes that people that are displaced, they go into, the homeless people, the homeless shelters. They don't they call them, right, these shelters. So they have these different programs where they have these shelters over here, and then they do certain things where they qualify when they come to the United States. So they are possibly showing them also in these different programs that they have over here. Okay, if you follow these steps in this program, these programs, and I talk about these programs, and I'm just on it because I don't know all over Africa. I just know in East Africa the programs that they have and how they qualify, and how these people actually, these Dinka people and the Herit people actually got over here in America, and how they are scattered out, and they are still over here. These people, some people went home after these civil wars, these civil strikes that took place, and some are still over here who have made a living for themselves, who are businessmen, who own their own thing, some who have became teachers and etc. But they had to qualify in these programs in order to get to the United States. And once they got over in the United States, those same programs put them in houses. Those same programs pay for their schooling. The same programs get them jobs while they're in school. Those same programs introduce them to other people that can help them become successful. And when they get over here, certain things they have to do to qualify to be introduced to these people, to keep their scholarship, their full scholarship paid for, and etc. So I know in East Africa, yes, but I don't know in these other Pacific places because I hadn't studied South Africa, North Africa, which we know North Africa, hell, ain't nothing but Arabs over there in North Africa. But and West Africa and West Africa and etc. But I do know in East Africa there's certain programs that they have to have, and I'm quite sure they are showing in these people, hey, if you get over here and you fool with these people over here, then you gonna come. We bringing you back over here because you are interacting with these groups of people. So they paint these negative images. So I do know they're in East Africa, but I can't speak for everywhere else. And then, as being stated earlier, and just going, and giving from perspective of his brothers and his brothers in Senegal, and his father comes from Gambia, and his mother was raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and them coming over here, and he explained the experience that they had long period of time. Now, he said he's not sure if they still showing the video as of the day, but he know that they used to show this video that I used to hear about, but I never actually seen a video or even got anybody to substantiate that this video actually existed they listened to.
But yeah, man, I mean, even if they didn't show that video, like, how are we represented in the media? How many positive representations do we have of the black man, the black woman, the black family on TV nowadays? Like, it wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have been good anyway. We usually into some type of criminal behavior activity, or playing the dumb person on the show, or something to that effect. So I don't think it would have been as dramatically different if they didn't show these videos to these people, because it's already a certain type of way that we are represented in today's media.
And
anyway,
and has that become our fault now? Because a lot of us now are actors. You know what I'm saying? Are actors and are social, well, what they call them, reality stars. So anything for the bag, we'll go on and act a fool on. You know what I'm saying? We'll cuss out our own mama if the bag is right. You know what I'm saying? We'll cheat on a woman that's loyal to us and had our backs, you know what I'm saying, for 25 years. But if the bag good, we'll go on and cheat on her on reality TV. You know what I'm saying? So now we are helping the same people that been put. They don't honestly. They don't even have to do it no more. If they, I don't know if they still showing this video or whatever. But like you just said, honestly, they really don't even have to show it no more, because we're actually helping them out. We're actually helping them out.
Check it out, Kofi. When you think about hip hop, right? Think about it. How many? Excuse me. I'm sorry, y'all. How many African artists have we had over here that we really embraced? When Akon was out, we really didn't embrace Akon. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you'll get a rapper, you'll get somebody from another ethnic group, they're coming to hip hop, and we fall in love with them, aka 6ix9ine. Still fucking
Nipsey from Eritrea.
I don't think nobody fell in love with 6ix9ine, man.
Yo, he's all over the place. He's a multi-millionaire. I mean, he's
Nipsey Hussle from Eritrea.
Yeah, he from Eritrea. Yeah, we embraced him. Yeah,
didn't nobody know that until he passed away, though.
Right. I didn't. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't know it until he, like you said, till he passed away. I didn't know.
Ain't know that shit, man.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know until he passed away.
Because a lot of people weren't on him, but the people that was on him, we knew.
Because he didn't espouse no African in his music or in his dress or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Because he's culturally grown up in America. You see what I'm saying? But that's what. But what I'm saying too is that too, and what Kofi has spoke to, like, also the dynamic is this, like how you spoke to, if you're an African and you come over to America, you have to also consider, why I'm here. If I'm an African, can I really attach myself to a Black Lives Matter movement? I'm a refugee here from.
No, I was just talking about the music aspect of it.
No. I'm not. That's something different. I'm just moving on. I'm just saying for something different that Kofi brought up, right? I'm talking about in terms of, like, it's a double-edged sword, because as an immigrant from Africa, you can't be active in our movements like that, because you can get deported.
Yep.
Like, we can go in. We can tear shit up.
That's right.
But at the same time, we can look at that as, hey, y'all ain't with us, in a sense.
Right. Because they don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying, but they also have to say, well, damn, am I going to jeopardize what I'm trying to do for my family?
Yeah, but you know what's funny? The only time they reach out to us is when something happens to somebody in their family, like when Amadou Diallo or some other African immigrant. Then they'll reach out for us to come to their aid, and we do. We don't shun them.
Turn out, but that show you at the core though. Like when we look at him as black.
Exactly.
If one of them died, we gonna tear shit up, just like we gonna tear shit up for him, like we tear it up for George Floyd. If George Floyd would have been an African, bro, we would have still tore the shit up.
We went all out for Abner Louima when the cop shoved the nightstick up his ass. We went crazy for him.
Yeah, I mean,
He was from Haiti. He's
yeah, I
Haitian.
mean, so it's
You know what I'm
different.
saying?
It's complex, man. Very
Yeah,
complex.
yeah, it definitely is.
You breaking up, Rob? But I'm gonna bring it full circle. Like even those of us that make our own movies, you know, we can make a lot of low budget movies, and that's cool. But it's always some hood ish. You know what I'm saying? It's always some criminal activity. Why can't you make that low budget movie and show a positive representation of a black man, a black woman, or a black family?
It
You
ain't
know,
gonna
niggas
sell.
don't want to see that
It
though.
ain't gonna sell.
Niggas don't want to see that.
Right. It's not gonna definitely sell. And
I want to see it.
Yeah,
Whoever
I would like to see
Sankofa?
it, but
Who's seen the
I would
movie
like to see it,
Sankofa?
but it ain't gonna sell. It's not. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
yo, they don't be selling no way. These them.
Yo, if anyone hasn't seen
I'm not
this
making
movie,
excuses why they. I'm saying I agree with you, but I'm saying you have to look at it like this. I agree with you, but people, you know, looking at it from a business standpoint. Like if I'm going to invest in a low budget movie and I spend let's say I spend $10,000 to make a low budget movie. I'm putting up nobody's backing this. I'm putting my own bread up. I'm putting $10,000 up, or even if I got a partner, I put $5,000. I put $5,000, and this is gonna cost me to shoot the movie. Low budget movie. And this is a low number. Let's just say it's gonna cost me. Let's just say it's gonna cost me $40,000 to shoot a low budget movie. But and I shoot, and this in this $40 budget, this is gonna cover me to shoot the movie and these different scenes, and be able to put some bread in the people pockets that's playing these roles. So I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to I want to make my money back. I'm just not putting a movie out there just to put a movie out there. So I'm not going to invest. So a lot of people not going to invest in something where they're not going to get a recoup what they made and then some.
It's called an ROI.
I don't think they recoup it anyway, but I don't know.
One question.
Hey, but Kofi, listen though. Look, if you got 40,000, right? Let's say that's true. You got 40,000. You put up your own money, right? And you try to recoup. What kind of movie you gonna make to get your money back?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Just speaking from me, and speaking from me, and the brothers can vouch for me on the panel.
Kofi, you gotta get your money back.
No. I'm gonna tell you, bro. I take a loss all the time.
Kofi, you can't take a loss. I
will put the movie out. I will put the movie out knowing I'm gonna take a loss. I would do it.
That ain't fair, Kofi. I'm saying you can't take a loss. Like, listen, you can't take a loss. That's the rule. You take a loss, you go to jail. What kind of movie you gonna make to get your money back?
But that's a roll of the dice, because no matter what, that could still flop. It could be one of the greatest hood movies in the world. Everybody would think it's dope, and it could still flop. So that's still a roll of the dice.
Yeah,
but we know controversial. We know controversial sell. Even if you look here, let's just take this channel, Kofi Piesie Research Team and Mossi Warrior Clan channel. We do not participate in the nigga shit. So our views is low. Don't nobody be checking over here like that. We don't have, if you go in here on either Mossi or Kofi Piesie Research Team, and we got 1.1K or the video done reached 2,000 views, it's been over months, or it took almost a year to make it up to there, because nobody wants to come on here, because most of us are going to be talking like we got some sense. Most of us on here are going to be talking, you know what I'm saying, are trying to do something to change the mindsets of our people. You know what I'm saying? So, and we're going to be doing it in the most tasteful manner as possible, because we're going to be doing it with good character. So we ain't on here cussing each other out. We're not on here talking about each other family. We're not on here trying to belittle another person or one up another person, make that person their information feel inferior and our information feel superior. We don't do that. So we get the less views. So anything with some good content that's in a positive light, you know what I'm saying? We don't want that. So we're going to always take a loss. Anything with some negative content, if I guaranteed if I put a $30,000, $40,000 video out, even like you saying, taking a gamble, bro, it's going to, even if I guarantee, even if I don't make a profit, I'm going to make my money back. I'm going to make that 30,000 back. I may not make a profit. I may not double it, but I'm going to make my money back because controversial sales. We love confusion. We love chaos. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, and the European, not only the European, the Jew, the Arab, they also know the same thing. That's why they always invest in us. And they know if a certain amount of money is presented to us, man, we're going to take that bag. What religious people will say, we're going to sell our soul. We're going to sell our soul for the bag. Whatever we got to do, we don't give a damn about how it's going to make us as a whole look bad. We only studying ourselves. I'm finna get the bag. Whatever this white man, whatever this Jew, whatever this Arab want me to do, I'm going to do it because the bag is good, because they know it's going to sell. So they profit off our destruction. They know that. They profit off our destruction. We know we put something in there with some negative, something negative, where the men is disrespecting the women is disrespecting the men, the children is being disrespectful to the grown-ups, being disrespectful to the parents. We put in some fighting, you know what I'm saying? Somebody fighting in some blood shedding. We put in somebody selling some drugs and they making some money. It's gonna be a hit. It's gonna sell. So they capitalize off of our destruction, off of our detriment. So I know if I put some out, man, it's gonna sell. That ain't gonna be no game. I'm gonna be doing the same, but that's something that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't compromise who I am, and that's, I think, as one of my downfalls as being a businessman too, because I won't compromise what I stand on just so I can make some extra money. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be a walking contradiction like a lot of people in the conscious community are. They say they are for the people, but when I look at their action, they are walking contradiction. It's another reason why I don't look at a lot of YouTube channels, because I don't give a damn if they got 2,000 people watching. I don't give a damn if they got 5,000 people watching at one time. I don't care nothing about that, because they are walking contradiction. At the end of the day, they're not for the people like they say, or they are for themselves. They are for the bag. So I'm just saying it would sell if I put $30,000 into a hood movie. I know I'm gonna make some money.
So that means we gotta that means self accountability. Then we gotta start taking accountability, because we the consumers of these black programs, and if we don't want to see positive black images, then it's more likely that ain't nobody gonna put out no positive black images. But I will say, shout out to Oprah, because she has one of my favorite shows, Queen Sugar, and it's a positive black show that shows positive black families. I don't know how successful it is, but I rock with it. That's one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show.
Yeah, it's pretty successful. I'm not saying that you can't be, but there are not many. I watched Queen Sugar. I mean, the Queen Sugar got all the way up to what I think the 4th or 5th season. So and it had to be successful in order to get those different seasons, because it got enough viewership in order for it to be picked up for another season. More viewership equals more cash, more revenue. So it was successful. I'm not saying that positive, that you can't put out a positive movie or a positive sitcom, or a positive reality show, that it won't be successful. It's rare. Just because Oprah did it don't mean that the next person might be successful. And then again, Oprah, you know what I'm saying, has more reach than a lot of other people. Oprah is a billionaire. Oprah is known worldwide, so she has a lot of reach, and she has a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Where she probably can pay to get these people get this in other different marketplaces where other people able to look at it. You know what I'm saying? So, and the same thing that the music industry is doing now. They buying streamings. You know what I'm saying? To boost the revenue to sales, they doing certain things to boost the revenues because they have that money and they have the reach to do those certain things. But most independent people that is not big, they're trying to come out. It may be successful. It may be a bust. But if I put out something, it's gonna be definitely something positive. And I know that I'm probably, and even though people say they rock with me or they rock with us, you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna rock with us enough to go spend their hard-earned money to see something positive, unless it's something ratchet. It's showing our destruction amongst one another.
It's got to be good. Like, it's just like even with the conscious rap, like, yo, it's cool that it's conscious, but if it's whack, ain't nobody that want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, no disrespect to Common, but I'm not checking for Common. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, Common was dope though. Don't use Common.
Yeah, he was dope. Yeah, I love Common.
I don't know, man. I ain't checking for that. I might be tripping.
Lyrically, now Common was very sound, bro. He's dope.
Yeah. No
I might be tripping, but I'm just saying, bro.
He started.
I
think the turnoff might have been the way he started dressing.
I'm with you, Sute.
Yeah, man. I ain't checking for Common.
He ain't make our playlist on none of our shows we did on Niger Valley.
Nah, man.
We was playing some heat.
We were playing
Common ain't for the playlist, man. Y'all tripping,
man. Yeah, they tripping like they so.
That's for your soul, man. Ain't for the playlist.
You just say,
yeah,
whatever, just saying you ain't checking for him. He ain't saying he ain't trash.
Yeah, no, I said no disrespect. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. I'm the cloud. But I rock with Common.
Yeah, I rock with him too. You know,
I rock with Common as a positive figure.
I go all the way back to Common Sense when he was calling himself Common Sense.
Of course.
And I know y'all like the song I used to love.
Kofi. Let me ask you this: what's your favorite Common CD?
like water for chocolate. Like water.
Hey, that was dope.
Kofi don't
the
count.
One what was the name of the one he did with the one he did that had go on it with go, and then he had the one we rapped about the one we was in the
Kanye produced joint. That was the Kanye
produced joint. Yeah, and he had the one we rapped.
What's your favorite Common album, Sos?
I can't remember the title, but I'm saying that was the album.
You can't even give a name.
It had but I ain't saying he's my favorite artist, but I'm saying I rock with him. Remember the song he did? Remember the song he did when he was in the courtroom about the sister? He was in the courtroom dressed and the sister had kind of flipped on him.
Nah, man, we don't
remember
that.
Queen Pin.
I remember that.
Queen Pin. You don't remember that one? He talked about his sister was a queen pin. You remember that one?
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah, I remember. And he got the one with, the Erykah Badu joint. Come on.
Yeah, and I used to love.
Now, Black Thought. That's a conscious rapper I can check for.
Yeah, he dope. He dope too.
Yeah,
he dope too.
So Black Thought was on y'all playlist.
Nah, he wasn't on there either.
He wasn't on the playlist.
That's what's wrong with them young whippersnappers, so they don't know good music.
I will listen to a Black Thought album though.
Black Thought dope.
Yeah, he dope, bro. He definitely dope, man. He definitely dope. Let's play a little bit more, man, and I'm gonna stop the thing, man. I like the conversation, man. I really, I'll be honest, I really been enjoying the show, man. I've been enjoying the show, and been enjoying the conversation, man. I'm enjoying everybody's perspective. I really am.
Ass niggas. I'm sorry, but that's what they see.
I've had my own society. And finally, a savior.
I ran it back a little bit.
Machine gun preacher. Dangerous minds.
When I spent time in South Africa, people kept saying to me, "Oh, so you're a Negro, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm not a Negro. I'm black or I'm African American. Because their understanding is that African Americans are called or Black Americans are called Negroes, right? Not just that, but then when they show African Americans today, they only show the ones from the hood, right? The negative, the one like, yeah, what you at? That's all they show. So now the reason why even Africans themselves have a dislike or distaste for African Americans is because all they see is the dumb ass niggas. I'm sorry, but that's what they see.
I've had my own. Look, let me be honest here. There was one time, I think I'd been in America, I think maybe a year or something like that, and I walked into an elevator, and I was the only person in the elevator. And then an African-American man walked in, and I held my purse. That one action for me was my kind of sort of the stepping stone for me to begin to realize that something was wrong here.
The media feeds the stereotypes of Africans to African Americans, and they feed the stereotype of African Americans to Africans.
And you don't realize, as an African, until you come to the United States, that they're showing them crazy things about you too. They're showing that Africa is nothing but poverty. We're all just dying of illnesses, rape and violence, and somehow AIDS originated with Africans sleeping with gorillas. People, gorillas are very scary animals. You can't get close enough to it to touch it, let alone have sex with it.
SHAME. And
I'm just gonna pause real quick and what she's saying, I said that earlier. I swear that as a young boy, I thought AIDS came from Africa, and that it comes from them having sex with she said gorillas. We was taught monkeys. They was having
It did
sex
originate in Africa.
Huh?
It did originate.
I mean, that's
I believe
right.
It did originate in Africa, but it did from bushmeat.
Eating that bushmeat.
Okay.
Yeah, monkeys got AIDS, but they're immune to it.
The
Mm-hmm.
SIV.
Yeah,
Okay,
pretty much, y'all. That's one of the viruses.
Yeah, y'all telling me something I ain't know.
Yeah.
This something I didn't know. I'm be honest with you, I didn't know.
Chavis at? Chavis on here.
I'm right here. That's facts. That's all facts he just said. The
The chimp said
AIDS. We need to
SIV.
understand AIDS is a disease anyway. What you get infected with is the virus, which is HIV.
Yeah, the virus.
The infection leads to AIDS. We get that shit confused because we're not scientifically literate and we don't have no command over none of that shit. But real quick, another quotation from that boy, Dr. Amos Wilson, that addressed on page 48 of that same book. It say alienation of the African personality requires a psychotechnological creative process, a process imperial Europeans know well. The Eurocentric alienation of the captive African personality is achieved by a variety of methods, including manipulation of the African American experiential and informational context, the use of conditioning, associative learning, i.e., reinforced association of African cultural, ethnic, and personal characteristics with other negative and undesirable characteristics. In seeking to disassociate himself from these negatively associated and falsified African images, the African American escapes and disassociates from any identification with true, positive, and liberating African images which the falsified images obscure. So that's quoted by Dr. Amos Wilson.
Hey, real quick, man, and I'm gonna stop the video, man. We'll talk for a few minutes and we'll end the show because we didn't even get ready to get into the other video, man. But like I said, it's cool. Go back into this AIDS thing. Like I'm wanting to learn. Like, okay, so y'all said that the monkeys are immune to AIDS. And
no, let me hold on. You got to understand first that the virus that we're talking about is called SIV, which is simian. That's the monkey. So what you have is basically evolutionary biology. You have a virus zoonotically transmitting from one primate to another.
Yeah, I understand that, bro. I understand
the human. That's when the S turns into the H, where you have the HIV,
right?
Which the infection leads to disease. You don't pass around really disease. You passing around infection,
right?
So
Yeah, and it's believed that it happened in the bush market where in certain areas they were consuming monkeys.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes
It's another pandemic, another outbreak that happened. It's just
Okay.
one that we don't really recognize that much because it's easy to contain by simply putting on a condom. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same as you need to get a vaccine because you just strap up or not have sex at all, and that shit don't pass.
Mm-hmm. So
that's better.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, because I understand, how virus most viruses are host through animals and then mutating into something else into another host. I mean, I understand all that. But I just never looked into HIV all the way, and then I heard stuff like most people that will hear this will probably say, y'all pseudo. And I'm saying that, but y'all being scientific, but when y'all explain it. So when y'all explaining it, I'm understanding because I understand. I understand viruses, so I understand it. I just never looked at HIV and studied HIV. But what I'm saying, why they would say that is because that has been a story,
right?
Floating around for years that AIDS was created in a lab by a German or a Russian here in
I heard. They watching too many YouTube videos.
Yeah. I'm just saying, but I don't heard these stories, and I used to know exactly the doctor. I used to know exactly the location. I'm telling you, this has been floating around. I know at least it probably longer than that. I heard it.
I know what you're talking about because I seen that video.
Yeah,
I seen it. Yeah, I seen it.
Still don't deal with no virology though. They don't talk about no specific ways of it don't explain to you how that was done and how you have to have a clone of the virus in general. You can't nobody up in there whipping up no viruses like boys whip up some like a pack. That's not how that works.
Cooking us a dope real quick. Cooking this age real quick.
That's not how that goes.
I'm just saying,
even with that though, Chavis, you still need the main ingredients. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just make shit out of thin air. Yeah, so I get what you're saying. Like you can't just make it out of thin air. You gotta have some type of form, or you gotta have some type of form, synthetic form. You gotta have something like a copy, like you said, a copy of the original.
It ain't to say that viruses can't be manipulated in certain ways, but certain shit that people be thinking, these niggas don't even have a full grasp on the shit like that to be doing. Like that's why they experimenting with the shit because they don't know how to even do the shit. It's still a lot of unknowns with that shit. That's why it's so much shit around the gain of function shit because it's ethically a lot of issues in it that can arise. But that's just pseudo though. Nobody whipping up no virus.
Yeah. I was just saying, that's what you have some people on here chopping it up. Crazy.
I know. I be arguing with people all the time about that.
Yeah.
I always notice when you argue with somebody, the language that they're using when they're talking about a particular subject. If you not using the proper vocabulary, I can already tell how much you know because I've done the studying in courses and classes that's the thing about vocabulary people don't like. It helps you recognize certain things. It helps you be able to take in the information and it helps you recognize, okay, he don't know what he's talking about. He's being super vague. He's using a lot of blanket words because he don't have full grasp on what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But everybody just be aware and them type of scientific.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, just be aware that and when somebody making a scientific claim, make sure they use scientific evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I see Nunya business. Now you see a Nunya Nelson. Now that's my wife. And now this ain't this Nunya business. Yeah, you can handle that, Sutek. I ain't even finna engage in that. But if you hadn't subscribed, Nunya, I don't want to mispronounce the last name. Please subscribe. Those who haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And yeah, peace, brother Sarah. Yeah, get another copy, man. Get another copy, man. And have you read the book, man? Have you? I'm probably gonna hit you up, man, because I may need you and a few other people for something, man. But appreciate, man, purchasing the book. But let's get into this last little piece, man. Then we'll stop and we'll conversate for a few more minutes, man, and then we'll end.
Resonated because what shame represents for a lot of African Americans is going back to Africa. They don't want to be connected with the poverty that they think is over there, or in some cases they know is over there because of the media and what it's shown us about Africa. They don't want to be associated with whatever that tribalism thing is. Whatever preconceptions and stereotypes they've had about Africa, they want to distance themselves.
Though this box had played its part in the creation of falsehoods, was it solely?
I'm gonna stop it right there, man, and let me start sharing my screen. But even let me ask y'all something: if y'all was in Africa, it don't even have to be in Africa. You somewhere else, and you never been to the United States, and all they would show on TV is the hoods. Like I don't know what every hood look like. They damn near look the same. But if they show your hoods, shotgun houses, somebody abandoned house, damn near on every corner, cars piled up in the yard, and etc. They were showing, showing bombs like certain area that we go to. Some people may not have. Excuse me, I don't mean to call them people bums. But those people that are homeless, like I can take you to an area, a whole strip where homeless people stay at. Man, they sleeping on the bus benches, sleeping up under the benches, sleeping up on the bridges and stuff like bridges like that. So if all those was images that was portrayed to you when you stayed in Africa, or you stayed in China or India or Germany or Spain, and all these images they portrayed on there, would you likely will want to come to the United States if that's the only image that y'all would see all the time is the bad areas?
Hell no.
Nah, I wouldn't.
You went right. Man, am I still sharing?
And Kofi, coming up to when we were younger, the prime commercial was the starving Ethiopian kid and donate.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. That was my introduction into not liking Africa. I would look at it. I would look at it as a child. And this was all day. And then this was when I was a child. Then when I became a teenager, they wouldn't show it on during the day, but around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they would show this on certain stations. You would see
all night long.
Right. All night ran. So that was my introduction to, and just really frowning on it. But I mean, I kind of didn't like Africa at a certain period too. As I was talking earlier, me and my brother used to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays. And here, cartoons would run from 7 o'clock to 1 in the evening. So we want to get up and we want to watch every cartoon, our favorite cartoons, and they run on 3 or 4 different channels. And they would show,
I said, yes, sir. Hey, look, man. Come on.
Yeah. So, they would show negative images, of African people in the cartoons and stuff. But I was a kid. I really didn't pay no attention to that. But when I started knowing a little, I didn't pay no attention to it. But, as I started to get a little bit older and get in my teens, around 13 years old, 14-year-old, and, I was able to stay up to 10 o'clock, I started seeing these things and I started, frowning on it. And then, me started able to comprehend, stuff that I'm reading and the stuff that people telling me in school, they was pushing negative stuff about us, and we come from slavery and the Romans created civilization, and they said, the same old stuff that they talk about in school, man. So, but those areas are usually small areas in huge cities. Yeah, man. I'm happy, man. Hey, appreciate Gabby for purchasing the book, man. I'm telling you, real quick, I'll talk about the book real quick. Hopefully I'll come back next week and have a bunch of people on the panel who purchased the book, who read some things about the book. It's like I said, it's clearing up a lot of misinformation. Like a lot of these people, I'm gonna just keep claiming it's in the conscious community, social media community, talking about African cultures and traditions. They don't know what the hell they talking about. And also we trying to push the new movement of Kimoyo and get away from the word African traditional religion and get away from the word African spirituality. I talk about those two terms, where both of those two terms come from in the book. But if you want a better understanding, that go Brother Chavis. Brother Chavis, he has his copy right there. And Brother Robert Rand, who was also on the panel, has a copy, who read the entire book. I'm actually going to post what he actually said about the book, but that brother reads as well. I'm telling you, it's a great, great, great read. Easy read, you know what I'm saying? It dispel a lot of the misinformation, a lot of the makeup artists that are making about African culture and tradition that does not have a damn clue about, African culture, customs, traditions, morals, and etc. And also the last chapter in the book, I like that chapter because it talks about how we was conditioning into how we, conditioning to turn our back on our culture, in our tradition. Even that last chapter talks about, I use different elements from Kimoyo, which that's the book. Each chapter is a different element about Kimoyo and give you an understanding. I give you my opinion on certain things, and then I give you an example. I quote certain people, and then I give you an example from various groups in Africa. I don't stick in West Africa. I'm all over the place. And the only place I don't talk about in the book is, I really don't talk about North Africa. But I talk about East Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa. I talk about various ethnic groups.
Man, so you just left out the Berbers like that?
Yeah, I don't fool with the Berbers. But
get them, Sosa.
I don't fool with the Berbers, man. But I'm telling you, it's definitely a great read, man. Something refreshing, man. So I'm telling you, man, go copy your book. And again, appreciate everybody copy. And also, stop going to the web. I ain't gonna say stop going, but I know when people go to the website and just browse. If you ain't registered, if you registered, it's gonna show your name and exactly where you from. But if you hadn't registered, it's gonna show what state you from on there. So I'm finna start hounding you. So when you go on there, I'm finna start sending you a message immediately when you on there. So go on there, man, and see what we got going on there. Also, it's a full-on publishing company. We actually can publish your work. We can actually get your book on different platforms. If you go and type in Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo validates what we're saying. If you go through us and get our book published, we can get your books on multiple markets. My book is on Amazon.com. It's in Barnes and Nobles. It's in Target. It's in it's on eBay. It's on it's in the UK. Tails ASM.com. It's on Lulu. It's on Ingram. It's on a bunch of platforms right now. If you type in Beautiful Lessons About Chemo, you will see all the places. We guarantee to get you on all those markets, and we guarantee to get you build your own website where you can sell your own stuff on your website. But if you want to go to us in publishing, we do art graphics, we do book covers, we do art graphics for clothes, we do small introduction videos, marketing videos, we do editing, first level editing, second level editing, third level editing, which is way expensive if you do third level editing, which is ghostwriting, man. We do so many things. So go on there and look on the website, see what we got on. But while you're on it too, man, click on there, man, and get that Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. You can also see the tons of books that we got coming. I got one book cover I redone, gonna put on there. Shawn got his stuff on there. Shawn got 2 books coming. Chavis have a book coming pretty soon. What's the name? Gonna have a Mythbuster book coming pretty soon. Hopefully we'll have his thing up there pretty soon. Coming. We got a coloring book, comprehension book. It's already up there. That's coming real soon. A lot of this stuff is like already done. We just waiting on the different days to release it. We got volume 4, which is coming. I'm talking about right around the corner, man. I done read the entire book, man. I'm telling you, man, it's a great book to have. But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate everybody coming on the platform, man, and breaking bread with us and building on this discussion, man. We actually gonna have to do like a part 2. We definitely gonna have to do a part 2, man. But anybody else got anything, man, before we end the live stream?
Nah, man, appreciate everybody for coming through. Make sure y'all like the show again if you haven't on the way out. Be looking for us to come back soon. Make sure you subscribed if you haven't subscribed. Click the bell so you can get the notifications when we go live, because we will be going live a little more. So peace, man.
Beautiful discussion. Peace, fam.
I just want to echo some tech and just say, share the show, man. Y'all fool with us? Share the show so we can spread the information and get the dialogue progressing and not stay stagnant. That's it. Peace.
What about you, Sosa? You had something?
Nah, man, I'm reiterate what them brothers said, man. You already know. Appreciate y'all for having me on. Till next time, man. Peace.
Yeah, man. You family, man, over here, bro. You family over here. So anytime, man, you want to jump on, man, shoot, you more than welcome, man. Y'all treat me like family over there on Pseudo Killers, man. Y'all always welcome me over there. So, man, you definitely family, man. But yeah, man, I said ETM Hotep in the beginning, which means bring forth peace. So on this part, I want to say Shimim Hotep. Wait, hold on before I do that too. I see people saying they're gonna buy another extra copy and give it away, man. That's cool, man. I keep talking about this giveaway. I'm gonna do a giveaway pretty soon, man, but it just gotta make sense for me. It just gotta make sense, but I'm trying to figure out how we gonna do it. I'm gonna give away either $400 or $500 worth of books, and it ain't gonna be just books from me. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be books from everybody you respected. Down from I'll be giving away. I got a book over here in the corner. Let me move my mic. I got a SAR book, and I got another his book on the panel. This book here is I'm gonna give this book away. So I'll be giving away a SAR Illusion Volume 2. I'll be giving away my uncle. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know that Unc's my uncle. I'll be giving away his book, The Chronology of Evolution. I'll be giving away a copy of the new release book by Brother Garfield. I'll be giving away a copy of Brother Garfield book. A ton, our book, Shawn's book, a book that I know everybody gonna appreciate too, real quick, and I'm finna jump up off here. I'm gonna be giving away. This is a book I think everybody have. Shawn always preaching research methodology, so this is Universal Chemic Press, Cal Kilimanjaro's one of his many research books, How to Plan Organizations and Carry Out Research book. I'll be giving away one of these books. I'll be giving away one of Ben's book, The Killmongers. I've been giving away a bunch of stuff, a bunch of hats, a bunch of shirts. So I just got to figure out how we gonna do it, but y'all gonna definitely have to earn it. But I still be losing because I'm probably gonna end up shipping out. My shipping bill gonna probably be about $200 to ship all this stuff out, and I'm giving all this stuff away for free, but y'all gonna have to earn it. But be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for Volume 2. We're gonna have something coming out pretty soon. Hopefully everybody can invest in us and pay for it. We gonna have a big event coming soon surrounded around Volume 4. So be on the lookout there. But anyway, I say ETM Hotep in the beginning, which means bring forth peace. So now I want to say Shimim Hotep. Shimim Hotep just means to depart in peace. So wish everybody a great afternoon, peace, and Black African power. And we'll see y'all when we see y'all. We out.